On December 25th, millions of people celebrate the birth of someone who wasn't born on December 25th by decorating with symbols that were once considered pagan blasphemy, while exchanging gifts that had nothing to do with the original story, beneath a tree that was explicitly forbidden in their holy book. And they have no idea they're doing it. Christmas, the holiday that conquered the world. But what if I told you that almost nothing about it is what you think it is? That the story you were told as a child is covering up something far older, far stranger, and hidden in plain sight. By the end of this video, you'll never look at December 25th the same way again. Because what's really behind Christmas tradition isn't just history. It's a mystery that connects ancient Rome, Nordic warriors, Middle Eastern rebels, and a calculated move by an empire desperate to survive. And it all starts with a date that should never have been chosen. Here's what they don't tell you in Sunday school. Nowhere in the Bible does it mention December 25th as Jesus' birthday. Not once, not even close. In fact, if you actually read the Gospel of Luke, the shepherds were watching their flocks by night in the fields. That's a spring or summer activity in ancient Judea. Sheep were brought inside during winter. Biblical scholars agree. If Jesus was a real historical figure, he was most likely born sometime between March and September. So why December 25th? The answer involves a festival so wild, so out of control, that an entire empire had to find a way to tame it. But we'll get to that in a moment. But here's where it gets weirder. Christmas wasn't always Christmas. For the first 300 years of Christianity, nobody celebrated Jesus' birth at all. The early church fathers actually condemned birthday celebrations as a pagan custom. Then, in the year 336 AD, something changed. And what happened next would reshape human history forever. I'll show you exactly what that was. But first, you need to understand what they were trying to replace. And here's the part that still haunts the holiday today. Every major Christmas symbol you know, the tree, the wreaths, the gift-giving, even the date itself, existed long before Christianity. They belonged to other gods, other rituals, other beliefs. But there's one symbol in particular that reveals the entire game. One tradition that, when you trace it back, unlocks the hidden code behind everything. And I'll reveal what that is before we're done. So buckle up, because we're about to go on a journey through 4,000 years of stolen symbols, forbidden rituals, and the most successful religious rebrand in human history. Let me take you back to Rome, December 200 AD. The streets are packed, people are drunk, masters are serving their slaves, gambling is everywhere, naked revelry in the streets, complete social chaos. Welcome to Saturnalia. Saturnalia was the Roman festival honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture and time. It lasted for a week, sometimes longer around the winter solstice, the darkest days of the year. And during Saturnalia, all the rules were off. Literally, slaves could insult their masters, courts were closed, you couldn't go to war. Everyone wore colorful, informal clothes instead of togas. They exchanged gifts. They decorated their homes with greenery, holly, ivy, and yes, evergreen branches. Sound familiar? But here's what made Saturnalia impossible to stop. It wasn't just a party, it was a pressure valve. The one time a year when the rigid hierarchy of Roman society could release, when the poor could feel equal, when slaves could taste freedom, even if just for a few days. The Romans loved it, and they weren't going to give it up, not for anyone. But there was another festival, one that happened on the exact same day that would eventually become Christmas. And this one was even more powerful, because it involved blood sacrifice and the promise of eternal life. December 25th, the Roman Empire, 274 AD. Emperor Aurelian declares this date the official birthday of Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun. This wasn't just another Roman god. This was a calculated move to unify an empire that was fracturing along religious lines. Sol Invictus was imported from the East, influenced by Persian Mithraism, a mystery religion that was wildly popular among Roman soldiers. Mithras, the god born from a rock, who slayed the cosmic bull, whose followers believed in resurrection and eternal life. And here's what's haunting. Mithraic temples were built like caves, with December 25th marking the rebirth of the sun after the winter solstice. Followers gathered for communal meals. They believed in a battle between good and evil. They were baptized. They believed their god was a mediator between heaven and earth. Remind you of anything? Now here's where it gets controversial. Some scholars argue that Christianity borrowed heavily from Mithraism. Others say it's the opposite. But what nobody disputes is this. By the 3rd century, these two religions were direct competitors. Both promised salvation. Both had similar rituals. Both were growing fast. And both wanted December 25th. But Christianity had a problem. It was still illegal, still persecuted. Mithraism had the support of emperors and armies. It was winning. Then, in 312 AD, everything changed. Constantine, a general fighting for control of Rome, has a vision before battle. He sees a cross in the sky with the words, "In this sign conquer." He wins the battle, and suddenly Christianity has an emperor on its side. Within 20 years, Christianity goes from persecution to legalization, and within 60 years, it becomes the official religion of Rome. But Constantine's conversion came with a cost, because the Roman people weren't ready to give up their gods, their festivals, or their traditions. So the early church made a deal with power, a compromise that would change Christianity forever. And that's where December 25th finally enters the story. 336 AD, Rome, the first recorded celebration of Christmas on December 25th. But here's what they don't tell you. This wasn't about Jesus' birthday. The church didn't suddenly discover a lost manuscript revealing the date. This was strategy. This was survival. The Roman people were celebrating anyway. They were honoring Sol Invictus. They were partying during Saturnalia. So the church said, in essence, you want to celebrate on December 25th? Fine. But from now on, you're celebrating Jesus, the true light of the world, the real unconquered sun. It was brilliant, and it worked. But they didn't stop there. They had to absorb everything, every tradition, every symbol, every ritual that people loved. The evergreen tree, that came from Germanic pagans who believed spirits lived in trees during winter. They'd bring branches inside to give the spirits shelter. The church said, that's fine. Now the evergreen represents eternal life through Christ. The Yule log. Ancient Scandinavians burned a massive log during the winter solstice to honor Thor and bring back the sun. The church said, great, now it represents the warmth of Christ's love. Gift giving. That was Saturnalia, yes, but also connected to the 3 wise men bringing gifts. Perfect story. Keep the tradition, change the meaning. Can you see what was happening? This wasn't just cultural borrowing. This was cultural conquest. Every symbol that once belonged to Zeus, Odin, Saturn, Mithras, all of it was repainted, rebranded, and absorbed into the Christmas story. And the people, they didn't even notice, because they still got to decorate, they still got to feast, they still got to celebrate the return of the light in the darkest time of the year. But here's what makes this so profound. The winter solstice has always been sacred to humans. Every ancient culture marked it. The Egyptians celebrated the rebirth of Horus. The Norse celebrated Yule. The Chinese celebrated Dongja. The Incas honored Inti Raymi. Because when you live in a world without electric lights, the disappearance of the sun is terrifying. You don't know if it's coming back. The days get shorter and shorter and the darkness closes in. And then, finally, the sun stops retreating. The days start growing longer again. The light returns. That moment has always been holy. Christmas didn't invent that. Christmas captured it. But there's one symbol we haven't talked about yet. One figure who doesn't appear anywhere in the Bible, but who has become the face of Christmas itself. And his origin story, it's darker and stranger than you ever imagined. Santa Claus, Father Christmas, Kris Kringle, Saint Nick. The jolly man in red who sees you when you're sleeping and knows when you're awake. Who judges whether you've been naughty or nice. Who rewards the good and punishes the wicked. Where did he come from? The surface answer, Saint Nicholas of Myra, a 4th century bishop in what's now Turkey. He was known for his generosity, especially to children. One famous story tells of him saving 3 sisters from being sold into prostitution by secretly leaving bags of gold in their home. Noble enough, but that's not the whole story. Because before there was Saint Nicholas, there was Odin. During the Norse winter festival of Yule, Odin, the All-Father, the god of wisdom and death, would lead a great hunting party across the sky called the Wild Hunt. He rode an 8-legged horse named Sleipnir. Children would leave their boots by the fireplace filled with carrots and straw for Sleipnir. If Odin was pleased, he'd leave gifts in return. Sound familiar? Boots by the fire, food for the magical creature, gifts left in exchange. But here's where it gets darker. Odin was also the god who could see everything. He had 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, thought and memory, who flew across the world and reported back to him. He knew what everyone was doing. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. And the Wild Hunt, it wasn't just a festive parade. It was terrifying. Anyone caught outside during the hunt could be swept up and carried away to the underworld. It was a time when the boundary between the living and the dead grew thin. So how did Odin become Santa? When Christianity spread through Northern Europe, the church did what it always did, merge and rebrand. They took Saint Nicholas, a beloved Christian figure, and grafted him onto the existing Yule traditions. Nicholas absorbed Odin's gift-giving, his all-seeing knowledge, his magical travel, even his association with the winter solstice. By the medieval period, Saint Nicholas was traveling on December 6th, his feast day, leaving gifts for good children. But he had a dark companion. Krampus, Zwart Piet, Belsnickel, Necht Ruprecht. These were the shadow figures, the ones who punished the wicked children while Saint Nicholas rewarded the good. They carried chains, switches, and sometimes sacks to carry away naughty children. Light and dark, reward and punishment, the duality of the winter solstice itself. But then came the 19th century, the Victorian era, and suddenly Christmas needed to be sanitized, made safe, made commercial. In 1823, the poem A Visit from St. Nicholas, better known as 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, transformed Santa into a chubby, jolly elf, no longer threatening, no longer connected to death or the wild hunt, just cute. And in the 1930s, Coca-Cola cemented the image, a red-suited, white-bearded grandfather figure who only brings joy. The darkness was erased, the pagan roots were buried, Santa became a mascot. But here's what they can never fully erase. Deep in our cultural memory, we still feel it. The idea that someone is watching, that we're being judged, that rewards and punishments are being measured on an invisible scale. Santa Claus is a god we tell our children about, and for a brief time, they believe in him with the same faith that ancient peoples believed in Odin, or Zeus, or any deity who held power over their fate. But there's one final twist to this story. One symbol that ties everything together, the tree, the lights, the gifts, the hidden meaning. And when you understand it, you'll see that Christmas was never really about what we were told it was about. It was always about something deeper, something we've been searching for since the very beginning. The Christmas tree. It stands in the center of nearly every celebration, decorated with lights, crowned with a star, surrounded by gifts. It's so ubiquitous that we don't even question it anymore. But this symbol, this is the key to everything. Trees have been sacred for as long as humans have existed. The Celts worshipped oak trees as doorways to other worlds. The Norse believed Yggdrasil, the world tree, held all of existence together. The Egyptians revered the sycamore as a symbol of life and death. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, the cedar forest is where gods dwell. Why? Because trees are living paradoxes. They reach down into the earth, into darkness, into death, and they reach up into the sky, into light, into heaven. They connect the underworld and the divine. They die every winter and resurrect every spring. They are the ultimate symbol of eternal life. So when Germanic pagans brought evergreen trees into their homes during winter, they were doing something profound. They were bringing life itself indoors during the season of death. They were reminding themselves that even in the darkest time, life persists. And the early church hated it. Jeremiah 10:2-4 explicitly warns against the practice. Do not learn the ways of the nations, for the customs of the peoples are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and a craftsman shapes it with his chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails, so it will not totter. That's a direct condemnation of decorating trees, but people kept doing it anyway. So once again, the church had a choice: fight it or absorb it. By the 16th century, Martin Luther, the father of Protestantism, allegedly brought a fir tree into his home and decorated it with candles to teach his children about the stars and the light of Christ. Whether the story is true or not doesn't matter. What matters is that the tree was Christianized. The evergreen became a symbol of Christ's eternal life. The star on top became the Star of Bethlehem. The lights became the light of the world. The gifts underneath represented the gifts of the Magi. Same symbol, new story. But here's what's beautiful and haunting about this. When you stand in front of a Christmas tree, you're participating in something far older than Christianity. You're honoring a symbol that has survived empires, religions, and cultural upheavals. You're connecting to the same impulse that drove your ancestors to worship trees, to fear the darkness, to celebrate the return of light, and to believe, desperately, that death is not the end. And that's what Christmas has always really been about. Not Jesus, not Santa, not even family or presents or commercialism. It's about hope in the darkness. It's about the promise that even when everything seems lost, even when the light is dying, even when winter closes in, the sun will return. Life will return. Warmth will return. Every culture that ever existed understood this. And Christmas, in all its borrowed, stolen, rebranded glory, carries that ancient truth forward. So whether you're Christian, atheist, pagan, or anything else, when you light up that tree, you're part of a ritual that transcends religion. You're saying in the language of symbols what humans have always said. I refuse to let the darkness win. If you're still here, you're already seeing the pattern. Stay with me, because the deepest revelation is still ahead. I know this might be shaking some beliefs. That's okay. Truth doesn't need your protection. It just needs your attention. Keep watching. We're almost to the final piece, the one symbol that changes everything. Don't click away now. So let's bring this all together. Christmas is not one thing. It never was. It's Saturnalia's gift-giving and social reversal. It's Sol Invictus's birthday and the promise of light. It's Yule's sacred trees and fires. It's Mithras's resurrection myth. It's Saint Nicholas's generosity. It's Odin's all-seeing wisdom. It's every winter solstice celebration that ever existed, all compressed into one day. And the real genius, nobody who celebrates Christmas today knows this. They think it's purely Christian, or purely secular, or purely commercial. But the truth is, Christmas is a perfect example of how culture evolves, how symbols survive by changing their meanings, how the old gods never really die. They just get new names and new stories. And here's what I find beautiful about that. It means when you celebrate Christmas, you're not celebrating one thing. You're celebrating everything. You're honoring your Christian ancestors and your pagan ancestors, your Roman ancestors and your Nordic ancestors. You're participating in humanity's oldest ritual, the defiance of darkness. So the next time someone says, "Keep Christ in Christmas," you can smile. Because Christ was never alone in Christmas. He's sharing the holiday with Saturn, Sol, Odin, Mithras, and thousands of years of human hope. And the next time someone says Christmas is just commercial now, you can smile at that too. Because Christmas has always been about exchange, of gifts, of light, of stories, of meaning. What's really behind Christmas tradition? Us, humanity, trying to survive the winter, trying to make sense of the darkness, trying to believe that tomorrow the sun will rise again. That's what Christmas is. That's what it's always been. So whether you're celebrating this year or not, whether you're religious or not, whether you even like Christmas or not, you now know the truth. Every decoration, every song, every tradition, they're all carrying ghosts, beautiful, ancient ghosts of beliefs that refuse to die. And in a world that tries to make everything simple, everything binary, everything one single story, Christmas remains beautifully, impossibly complex. If this video changed how you see December 25th, if it opened your eyes to the hidden layers beneath the surface, I need you to do something for me. Type "I see it now" in the comments. Let me know you understand, that you're awake to the fact that history is always more complicated, more fascinating, and more human than we were taught. And if you want more stories like this, if you want to keep uncovering the hidden truths behind the world's biggest traditions, subscribe, because we're just getting started. The next story we're uncovering, the dark origins of Valentine's Day, and trust me, it's going to disturb you. Until then, celebrate however you want, but know what you're celebrating. The past is never dead, it's not even past. Merry Christmas, and happy Saturnalia, and blessed Yule, and may Sol Invictus shine upon you.